good evening and a very warm welcome to the Misfits Racing League Tier 1, the penultimate round here in Mexico with its fancy straight, the twisty middle bit, and of course the famous stadium section. Once again, a good track for plenty of action, and action we will surely see tonight. As you can see in the standings, the top two has pretty much remained the same. Last time round, Brainchew finished outside of the points thanks to us cursing him all over the place. And Luke Smith, aka Vexit, in fact, finished I didn't finish at all, actually. So the championship is still technically wide open. Brainchew, however, Vexit actually needs to win twice in a row with Brainchew not scoring any points. Speaking of cursing things, joining me tonight, my name is Frostbreath, by the way, is once again Dan Field. Good evening to you, and the first question, of course, that we all like to know, to ask is, are you ready to curse some drivers?
I don't want to say that I am, because I really want these guys to do well, and I think we definitely can be to blame for what happened last week. Of course, Brainsuit was all looking set up for him. Luke Smith having issues early. Actually, it was Brainsuit having issues first.
Yeah.
And then Luke Smith going around, and it looked all well and done for Brainsuit, and it just went downhill right at the end.
Yeah, he actually had it in his pocket there with, he only needed 1 point, but even that didn't happen, mostly due to him crashing and his AI deciding to make a second pit stop, so everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, and of course you can all blame your dear commentators for that one. Let's have a little look at the Constructors Championship, by the way, which is much more close than the Drivers Championship fight, with only 9 points separating Alfa Romeo and Haas. And have a little look at the calculations here. I think McLaren is still in the fight as well, so it's still not a done job for the teams there yet. But let's see what will happen here on Mexico tonight. It's quite an amazing track, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah, this is a really tricky circuit for the drivers, and tyre management is going to be very crucial around here. It's difficult to keep the tyres in good nick, and it's a pretty short pit lane, so we could actually see some two-stoppers coming out tonight. And of course, there is a threat of drivers potentially running off the circuit. I know that in the SSX and Sector 2, it is really difficult to keep it on circuit, so I'd imagine today we're going to see a lot of penalties.
Yeah, I've seen those in Tier 4 as well, with somebody even racking up about 15 or maybe even more penalties. So yeah, it's definitely a high probability of those happening. Tire strategy, yes. The hard tire, what do you think of that one?
Ooh, the hard tire, of course, that'd be making the one-stop work, but I'm just not too sure about it around here. I know sort of drivers tend to gravitate towards, I guess a soft medium or soft medium soft. Never really see the hard tires used around here, but of course the drivers do know a lot more than you and I. I'd imagine
Yes.
we're both commentators here, so I don't think we're the most talented of racers out there.
Yeah, I've seen quite a mix of strategies in Tier 4. One of them managed to do the soft to hard strategy, mostly due to a bit of bad luck. But yeah, soft, medium, soft looks like the viable strategy to me. I've seen many drivers try that earlier this week. So let's find out what Tier 1 will do. If these guys are much, much faster, well, when I say much, they're quite a bit faster than Tier 4. So we might just see something different. Let's see if everybody's here in the lobby. I think we're pretty much ready to go. Yes, they are readying up. Weather, maybe it will play a factor tonight. It almost started to rain in Tier 4 by the end of the race. So let's see what will happen here.
Yeah, I'm trying to think whether we do get some rain. I don't think I've ever actually commentated around a race at Mexico where there was rain, so I'd actually really be interested to see if we get to see the intermediates or the wet weather tyres being used tonight.
Yep, definitely. Let's. I'm actually hoping for a bit of rain. It would be very interesting. And yes, I am Dutch, Britannius. It's quite obvious since my accent is very, very Dutch, I guess. Right, so then we are going to the loading screen and we are getting ready to, well, not to race actually, to qualify first, of course. Let's see what will happen there. I don't think we'll see any drivers in the top 10 on the medium tires.
No, I think we'll see everyone starting inside the top 10 on a set of the softs, which will be difficult to manage. They won't go too long in this race, but I'd imagine outside the top 10, if they qualify from 11th all the way down to 20th, they'll probably start on a set of the mediums.
Yeah, definitely. All right, here we are then in the pit lane, waiting for the first drivers to exit the pit lane, in fact. Let's turn on some interesting facts, of course. The tires, for example, which one will they choose to start with on their first run, aka the banker lap, as Moon has already left the session. He's once again reserve driver in the Haas team. And it looks like both title contenders are here. I mean, it would be terrible if one of them would be absent tonight. Branchew and Vexit. Luke Smith in game, by the way. And I already can see three drivers switching to the medium tires. So already several drivers trying to take a gamble. Rain in the race, the Aviator just said. Might just be after, though. So, looks like we might have just jinxed that one a little bit. The first one to exit the pit lane there is Valu on the medium tires. He likes to go out early, nice and early, to try and get a decent lap out there. I think it's quite wise to go out early on the medium tires, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Of course, you're putting yourself on that more flexible strategy. If you manage to qualify inside the top 10, then you're going to have more options coming in towards the race. But of course, it is going to be more difficult to actually set a time quick enough to be quicker than the soft. So it tends to be better to come out early on a set of the mediums, then later on bolt on a set of softs. It does well to also save the tyres in case... Well, if you mess up on your first lap, you know, it's not going to be too great if you're on a set of the softs, because then that really does set you up for a bad qualifying session. So, medium tyres for Valu, and the same for, I'd imagine, quite a lot of drivers coming out the pit lane. It's a smart thing to do, I'd say.
Yeah, more and more drivers are picking the medium tire strategy. I think they're actually listening to us. Would that be interesting? Anyway, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, exactly half the grid has decided to take the gamble and go for the medium, which is very interesting, actually. Imagine, like, the entire top 10 with medium tires. That would be absolutely wild to see. Anyway, Valu then starting his hot lap. On the main straight, he is already... Hopefully, he won't be bothered too much by all the traffic. There isn't too much ahead for him. That's quite good news. There he comes then, at the end of the main straight into turn 1, 2, 3, which is a nice strategic bit of corners there. And that's where most of the overtaking happens, of course, on this track, as the long straight allows for plenty of moves to happen. Most of them will be done before turn 1, of course. And there is then a 28.504, which is pretty decent on the medium tire as far as I know. So a strong opener here for the Aston Martin driver. In the meanwhile, several others have started their hot laps. Jakach, I think, yes, Mark has, as well as Joshua, Magnetar, and Yari, the other Aston Martin. So then, several drivers then started the hot laps. Oh, he's going quite a bit wide there. No invalidation, frankly. Second sector, a 56.2. And then he goes into the stadium section. And let's see what time he can set is... It would be a 1 minute... If he can manage to say 1 minute 15, that's quite quick, I think. Here he comes then, final corner, across the line. It's a 15.4. Decent. Not too bad, I think.
Yeah, of course, on a set of the medium compound tyre, it's not a bad time by any means. I'm watching Jack Catch on a lap. He's looking really planted through the SS section again, running slightly wide, same as Valu did, and in towards sector 3. But of course, he is quite a bit quicker, given that he is on a set of the softs. Got an Alpine car just in front of him. That is Verdex just ahead. Is that a Williams instead? My apologies there. But through the final 2 corners does the Alfa Romeo fly. And out of the exit of the final turn, it is going to be a 14.467. That is, 14.4657. That is the benchmark for anyone on a set of the softs. And I can see drivers like Milan, Kozi, and Yari. They're all on a set of the soft compound tyres, so you'd expect their times to be similar to Jack Catcher's.
Yeah, let's find out. Let's follow Milan here around for a bit. And the second sector, then he comes to there, 55.4 into the stadium section then. So far, the fastest soft tires, it's only one of them though, it's 0.8 of a second faster. And there goes Kazi with a 14.5. And Milan, can he go even faster than that? I wouldn't be surprised if you see a 1 minute 13 here tonight. And there he comes to Milan with a 14.6 as well. So the soft tires currently having the upper hand, of course, as expected. But I am impressed by Valu's time, who's not that extremely far off for a medium tire. I see a yellow flag in Sector 2, but I think that's one of the Mercedes moving out of the way for the Williams. I think that is Verdex, who was in front of Jakac earlier. Now coming around the final corner on the medium tires as well. Let's see where he plants his car on the grid. It's P5 at the moment with a 15. Look at that. 3 cars on the medium. No, that's... Yeah, 3 cars on the medium tires with a 15.4. As Range now goes fastest of the lot in a 14.3. Now let's quickly... No, never mind. His rival is still in the pit lane. So we're gonna have to wait to see what Vexit in his Haas can do. He'll need to win both of these rounds. Mexico this week and Brazil next week. And Range I would need to curse the hell out of Range if Vexit wants to claim the driver's title.
We'll probably be helping out here and there, of course, with our luck and our curses on all the drivers. So it is going to be Vexit on the back foot today, I would imagine. But he's yet to come out of the pit lane. I do believe he's just been sitting in there in the house garage. Other drivers yet to set up: Marquise, Burkan, Magnetar, Moon, and Pro to go. But I think we've got most drivers either in the pit lane or on an in-lap, aside from Valu, now strapped on a set of the soft compounder tyre. It's the quickest medium runner at the moment. So I'd imagine with this pace that he's carrying on the yellow wall set, now he's on a fresh set of the softs. When it's slightly grippier, on track with more rubber laid down, I'd imagine he could be on for a very quick time.
Yeah, that's quite interesting, isn't it? I think he just wanted to see and test how quick he is on the slightly harder tires there. And now that he's confident, he's going for that proper fast lap. So let's follow him around on a lap of this track here and see what he can do for his second run. In the meanwhile, yeah, actually, Vexit is now out of the pit box and ready to roll. Let's see what tires he is on. Is it softs? Yes, it is soft tires. Like his rival, Branch 2, he is getting ready to go for a quick lap there. Let's see if he can get any close to the man from Italy.
Of course, Vexit just coming through what is the exit section just through here. He's got no cars in behind aside from the Red Bull of, I believe, Dimitru. Let's see what Vexit can do on a set of the soft compound of tyre, and I think will take us for a full run once Valu finishes up on his lap. He's coming through the second sector now, just at the triangle section. He's about 3/10 up on his previous best. Purple through here. And now into the SS section, a high downforce setup he can take around this circuit. He's looking really nice at the moment. Again, another track extension, but no invalidation for Valu. And he's a full second up on his previous best. He only needs a further 10th on this run to triumph Brainstew and go to the top. So through the stadium section now. And oh dear, he's invalidated on entry at the final. And it was looking really good for him, but unfortunately, that's going to be a lap over and back into the pit lane.
I personally think that would have been a provisional pole position. He was looking so good. And that's, we're switching now to Vexit, by the way, a purple first sector. So looking strong then for the man in the chase. And as you said earlier, the pressure's definitely on this man to clinch the title. Brainstew knows that he doesn't really need to do an awful lot to stay ahead of the man in the Haas. As Mark actually goes slightly faster than Brainstew in his Alpine, a 1 minute 14.301. Vexit then in the final, second sector, at a 55.089, looking pretty healthy and pretty strong right there in the stadium section, where you can lose quite a lot of time, either that or gain quite a bit, as Joshua Pienaar goes even faster than Mark in a 14.2. Let's see then, Vexit first to go to the 13s. Yes, he does. Wow, by quite a margin. 0.4 of a second quicker than the Ferrari. So that's an impressive time, and that means Brainstew now in P4. Now it's his turn again. It's almost like a game of chess here. Moves every other turn and then see whoever comes out quickest now. And he is actually going out on a lap here again. His teammate right behind him. Let's see if he will give him a tow. It looks like it actually. Jakac might just get a bit of benefit there from Brinch ahead. Yep, that's going to look like a tow there. There it is.
Saw them doing this in Austria last week as well, down in towards turn number 4. Brainstew, yeah, brilliant stuff there. Getting out of the way at the final moment, and Jakac going to get a healthy dose of slipstream, and I believe he is about a tenth, just under a tenth and a half up on his previous best. So it's looking pretty good for the Alfa Romeos, and I'd imagine next lap by, when Brainstew has begun their lap, Jakac is going to repay the favour. So the Alfa Romeos once again working really well together.
Yeah, there's so much strategy in the team. This kind of explains why they're currently first in the constructor standings. Look at that, almost 4 tenths up on his previous time. Thing is though, that will bring him to a 14.2, which might be a front row, but it will not be a provisional pole position for now. So let's see what he can do around the final corner then, in the third sector. Here he comes then. It's going to be a 1 minute 14.1 in fact. So yes, that's the front row, and as you said, it is going to be repaying the favor then to Brainstew, who now started his hot lap. Let's see, we can see Jakac in the far distance slowing down in order to give Brainstew the maximum tow possible. Arhabs in the chat saying that this gives about 1/10 of a second of an advantage because the straight is pretty short, which sounds pretty likely actually. There he comes then. The tow there doing its work, and the first sector is... oh, it's actually slower. Oh dear. That's not ideal.
I don't think his first few sections, the first 3 corners, were that great for Brainstew, but he can make it up in the second sector now, through towards the S's here. Very tricky to keep it in line. He's managing to do so far. Big amounts of turning here, and a very nice run onto this very short DRS straight, but he has found an improvement of almost 0.2 of a second. Not as quick as Vexit through the second sector, but he still can find a margin and still jump some drivers now through the stadium section and out to the final braking zone, where of course Valtteri Bottas crashed in 2019, I believe, and crossed the line. It's going to be second position. So 2 championship contenders, 1 and 2 at the moment, but they are swapped over in terms of their championship position.
Look at that. Yes, that's going to be fireworks at the race start. In the meanwhile, Milan has also planted his car right ahead of Jakac. So 2 drivers now in the 1 minute 13s, and I want to see how much time is left in this qualifying session, but there's yellow flags everywhere. Oh, there we are. Just over 5 minutes remaining. So time enough for, well, if you're quick. Now 2 runs not going to be possible actually. So 1 more proper run for drivers like Brainstew and everybody who's currently out on their in-lap to settle lap time. Now we see already the fastest medium tire down to P14 Verdex. Also, I think now on the soft tires, yeah, there he is, invalidated his lap unfortunately. And coming straight back into the pit lane to try again later with Brownie just ahead of him, currently sitting P11, 14.5. But yes, the bar is set pretty high in terms of lap times, where the 14.3s were very quick. That's now only good for P7. Look at those times improving very quick. And Valu then, there he is. He did it. He's now second on the front row. He was looking strong last week, and he's looking strong again this week.
Yeah, I'm watching Mark at the moment on a run, just behind Valu actually, in the Alpine car, coming through the final couple of corners in the stadium section. He's a little bit up on their previous best, so it is looking pretty good for Mark to cross the line here. What's it going to be for the Alpine? It's going to be P6. Lost a little bit of time in that third sector, but only 5 thousandths off of Jakac. And if you consider it, Jakac had the tow, Marquez did not.
Yeah, so that really does put to the question, is the tow on the second straight effective enough? Looks like it just isn't as effective as the drivers would have hoped, especially the drivers, the Alfa Romeo. And there's currently also a discussion going on in the chat, where the main straight obviously would be the better place to tow, as you can gain quite a lot more time there. Mostly because it's so much longer. Now then, the only driver who's technically on a hot lap according to the game is Mark, but there's already drivers going out for the outlap for their final run, including Jakac, who is only 4 milliseconds faster than Mark was in his previous attempt. Fytron as well on his final outlap, ready to roll. How much longer can he keep range 2 behind? That man is quite a qualifying beast as well. But Fytron currently having the upper hand. It's still not enough though. He'll need range 2 to fall all the way down to P11, which personally I don't see happening on qualifying at least.
Yeah, but all Fytron can do is set the fastest lap that he can. He's begun this run a little bit earlier, I'd imagine. If he invalidates this run, he's probably fueled the car up to do another lap, so we'll have to see what the house car can do in through the first couple of corners here, down through the main straight and on to the second little back straight here, where of course the Alfa Romeos have been slipstreaming really well at the end of the first sector. What's it going to be? Is he going to be up slightly down on his previous best, just by 0.03 of a second? So Fytron still can find an improvement.
No.
But he has invalidated,
Yep.
and that's what I said about fueling up the car. He's got 2 minutes left, easily can do another run here.
Yeah, let's hope he did fuel up his car enough with 2 minutes remaining. It looks very likely that he did. His rival is now out on his outlap as well, and it looks like once again they're going to try the toe on the second straight. There they go, both Alfa Romeos. Renshu now ahead of Jakac, who is going to... Oh, there's a Mercedes joining the track quite dangerously there. But it looks like the toe is successful. Thing is though, how much time will Jakac gain on this straight? It is almost 3/100ths of a second. Personally, I don't think that's quite a lot. The most time can be gained in the second, and especially I think third sector with that sharp corner in the stadium, where much time, as I said before, can be gained or lost if you do it incorrectly. As a Red Bull moves out of the way of Jakac, who now comes to the end of the second sector. Let's see what the improvement is here. It is an improvement of, well, almost 1/10 of a second, which is great for him. He could place himself then into the top 4 if he goes even faster through the final sector there. He comes then round the final few corners and the big right-hander onto the finish line, and it's going to be a 1 minute, or it might be a 1 minute 13 actually. There we are, a 1 minute 13.991. It's 5 milliseconds faster than his teammate, who is now starting his hot lap right behind him.
Yeah, absolutely, down the main straight here, and of course Jakac got the slipstream down in towards, I think it's turn number 4 here, and I believe that Brainstew is going to get that slipstream. I was watching Valu on his lap, unfortunately going off at the S's when he was almost 0.2 of a second up. Here comes Brainstew though, down this back straight here. Jakac right in front, going to slip off to the left-hand side, and it is an improvement of only 0.08 of a second. Avi has gone into P2. So they are closing up towards Luke Smith, who I do believe is not going to be improving on this final run. So it's all up to Brainstew here to find at least a 10th of a second. The clock has struck 0. The Italian now through the S's section here. What can the Alfa Romeo do as he comes flying on towards this short DRS straight up towards the stadium sector here? He is finding a slight improvement. It is slight, but it can find a few crucial positions in this qualifying where it is all so close to from 2 down to 5, all separated by 1/10 of a second. As coming through now the final corner, is it going to be pole for the Alfa Romeo or pole for the Haas across the line? What's it going to be? Oh,
it's not improvement actually.
P5.
Yep, it is still P5 starting behind his teammate. I think the teammate is not going to be the main problem here for the race start or any battles on track. But it is the fact that he's got 3 cars in between himself
Valu
and Fytron. What's happened to Valu?
Valu's improving, but he's caught traffic.
Yep, and he's invalidated as well. So that's the end of his hopes for a pole position. Is there anybody else still attempting a hot lap here? No, Mark already moved out of the way of the Aston Martin. Magnetar, who was looking very strong last week, also has given up his run. And I think that's it. Yes, Pro to go, also no longer on a hot lap, and his teammate Verdex is also going into the pit lane. So that's the end of the qualifying run here for the Mexican Grand Prix. So that means Fytron on pole position, Avi in P2, which is very nice for him. Valu in third then, Jakac in P4, Brainstew only P5, as Milan and Mark in the Alpine cars in P6 and 7. Joshua PNR in P8, Magnetar in 9th, and Kazi in P10. So that's going to be the lineup for the race. As people in the chat said, there might be rain near the end, really depending on how many safety cars we will see, of course, and how long the race will last because of that. But other than that, the chance that it will remain dry is bigger than that chance of rain.
Absolutely. That brings us to an end, though, of what was I'd say quite an exciting qualifying session. To put into perspective how close this field spread is, the top 15 separated by just under 0.7 of a second, so it is all very close in at Tier 1, but it is Luke Smith out on top.
Yep, there he is. The number 1 shown by his hand gestures there. He will be pleased with that. It is the perfect place to start if you want to have any chance of fighting for the title. Let's quickly put up the Drivers' Championship standings here before we switch over to the race. You can see it here. 52 points between Vexit and Brainstew. So the man's got it all to do in the race. Let's see what will happen there. We are going to the race very soon. Tire strategy, of course, for the sub-top 10, as both of us will likely get it right there. Everybody there will start on the medium tires, and the top 10, of course, all forced to start on the softs. So it is going to be interesting. The race start especially is going to be crucial. Now that I think of it, though, pole position in Mexico is actually not the most ideal position, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true, of course. Being such a long main straight, I could actually probably get a short little fact check on how long the Mexico straight is, but it is, I believe, the longest main straight, and I'm just trying to stall it out here because I'm looking it up right now. It is okay. That's not the entire thing, but it is very long. Right, I couldn't find the exact calculations, but let's just say straight is long, and that means the slipstream is going to be very powerful into the first corner. So really, you'd want to start in about 3rd or 4th, where you can be behind the front runners and get the slip on them in towards the first braking zone. So maybe Avi and Luke's and Vexit here could be a disadvantage in comparison to Valo and Jackatch.
Yeah, definitely. We saw it in the real life race, of course, a couple of weeks ago, where Max Verstappen actually passed both of the Mercedes around the outside due to an epic slipstream before turn 1. So let's see if the drivers in the game can repeat that feat and outdrive Vexit into the first corner. Anyway, predicted pit stop strategy according to the game, soft, soft, medium, or soft, soft, hard. Now, you would be absolutely insane to go for the soft, soft, hard strategy, because that looks like a very slow thing to do. Soft, medium, medium, also not a very likely one. So either soft to hard, if you can manage your hard tires well enough. Other than that, I think it's going to be soft, medium, soft. Or, let's actually have a look at the sub-top 10. The other drivers, that is. If my game wants to show up the menu, that would be much appreciated. There we are, thank you very much. Telemetry should be enabled as well. Let's have a look at the tires. Oh, well, 2 drivers starting on the soft tires below the top 10. Other than that, everybody on the medium tires. So it is pretty much as predicted. As said before, rain is a possibility near the end of the race, but we'll need quite a few safety cars in order to reach that point. But here they are then, coming around the final corner. Vexit is quite in a hurry. He's far ahead of the rest of the pack. He really wants to get going as soon as he can. While the other drivers in the back are taking it a bit easy. Speaking of the back, it's interesting because we have a Haas sandwich tonight. Vexit in the front and Moon completely at the rear.
And just before we get going, I'd actually like to add that I did manage to find how long the straight is. It's just over 1 kilometre long in length, so that really does put into perspective how difficult it is going to be for Luke Smith and Avi to maintain their positions. But they're all pulling into their grid slot. We're getting ready to start here.
Yeah, and the camera decides to be extremely far away from the starting line, so let's hope that will fix itself as soon as I switch back to Vexit. It doesn't really work so far. Come on, let's switch back. We want to see something. They're very far in the distance. There we are. Thank you very much. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. Getting ready to go, and they are going right now. It looks like a very good start for the front row at least. Avi having a nice start, and he's almost ahead of Luke Smith going into that first corner there. It's going to be 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide, as several drivers are trying to fight for the first place, but it might just be the AlphaTauri coming out best. No, it is actually Vexit going very wide and very late on the brakes. He manages to stay ahead, so the toe, not as powerful as in real life, is... Oh, and there's a massive crash! Avi just ramming his car into the wall, and that takes out several other cars there. Absolute carnage, but not as bad for the other cars as it was for Avi, who had a brilliant start, but already out of the race then. That means Milan now climbing up to 4th position, Mark in, to 3rd position, sorry, Mark in 4th, Brainstew fallen down to P6, and several other drivers tussling for a position. Cossi and Joshua, for example, fighting P8 and P9 into the 2nd sector side by side. Not usually a very good idea, but they managed to keep it clean somehow. His teammate, though, out of the race very early on. A big, humongous crash. And to be fair though, it could have ended much, much worse. Many drivers taking evasive action. So it looks like only one big disaster after the first few corners, as Vexit leads the pack into the end of the first lap. Velo in 2nd place, Milan in 3rd, Mark in 4th, Jakac in P5, and Brainstew then sitting around in P6.
Yeah, and Vexit's already been able to pull out a 1.4 seconds, make that gap to Valu in behind. So already on lap number 2, the DRS has been broken. We didn't have a safety car deployed for a stranded AlphaTauri in the middle of the circuit, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But we are still under racing conditions. Brainstew had a brilliant start, was fighting for 3rd position with Valu. Now is down in 6th position. He's got his teammate right in front of him, so team orders could come into effect at some point in this Grand Prix. But it's only lap number 2, so I don't think that the Alfa Romeo pit wall is going to be thinking about swapping the drivers around just yet.
Yeah, definitely. Interestingly, that means we have now an entire team in P3 and 4 and the other entire team of Alfa Romeo in P5 and 6. And all of those cars are still well within DRS range. And Vexit is absolutely going wild on the pace. He really wants to pull a big gap as possible there to the other cars. Because he knows that once Brainstew gets some clear air, he'll be very, very quick. We've seen that before, that once the Italian driver is able to drive as fast as he actually wants to go, he'll be exceptionally quick. So then, 1.5 seconds again on the finish line there between the Haas and the Aston Martin, as the Aston Martin of Velo will have to try and fend off 2 Alpine cars right behind him. Both of those are slowly being pressurized by the Alfa Romeo cars. In the meanwhile, a bit further back, Brownie and Verdex fighting for P15 and 16. It looks like Verdex gets the upper hand for now and remains in 15th place there. So far, though, no DRS yet. That will be available on the next possible opportunity, which will be in the 2nd and 3rd sector. So that is where the first proper overtaking moves might happen.
And even that being said, it is a very, very short straight around here, so it is unlikely that two wild moves won't be made. But some drivers will find a way. At the top end, it seems to be all a bit spread out, but they are a lot closer down the back of the order. And I'm watching Moon at the moment on the back of the Red Bull car of Dimitru, but I don't believe that he's going to be close enough to make a lunge up the inside. No, he is indeed not. This is where, at the front of the order, this is where everything could change, because Milan is going to have DRS on Valu.
You have a yellow flag.
Flags, that's Brownie around, I think.
Yep. He's definitely around now, completely facing the other direction there. Not entirely sure what happened. Might have just lost his car, but he's now fallen down to P18. Now let's go back to Moon and Dimitriou there, fighting for P11. That's no points, but these cars are trying to get back to the top 10 there, as this entire group from P11 down to P17 has lost connection to the points, in fact. So that's not very good. Thing is, though, Moon, who started last, is already up into 11th place. I can't remember. Did he set a lap time, actually, during qualifying?
Moon did not, starting right at the back of the order. Only 2 drivers did not put in a lap. It was Moon and Burkan that didn't manage to put a time on the board. But one thing that we've missed here is that Jack Hatch is now in P4. He's jumped Mark. It's going to be crucial because it's going to allow for Brainstew to attack easier on the Alpine car. Having his teammate in front is going to sort of let him back him up, and then they can overtake together. So we could possibly see as, oh dear, Valu, the first of the drivers right at the top of the order, to take a 3-second time penalty. But on the main straight here, I think drivers, we could be seeing some moves right at the top of the order.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like Brainstew is going to be the first one to try the move. He's absolutely flying towards the car of Mark. The Alpine is, what looks like is really slow there compared to the Alfa Romeo. Brainstew is having a look, but will he have a go actually? Yes, he does. Round the inside, in fact, into turn 1. That means Mark will have the inside line in this turn, and then Brainstew again in this one. So that's for now advantage Mark for the time being. However, Brainstew once again very close to the rear of the Alpine car, while Magnetar is just sitting behind waiting for the moment to happen. Brainstew though is able to set this car side by side with the Alpine car again. Mark though being able to defend quite hardly there. Thing is though, Brainstew now is ahead of the Alpine. That means he'll now be able to climb up back to his teammate, and Mark immediately under pressure from Magnetar in the fight for P6 now. But for now, the straight just ahead is a bit too short in order to get a proper overtaking move done. So Mark will just have to stay really close to the Alfa Romeo in order to stay ahead of the angry pack of cars behind him, by the way. So yeah. Lap 6 out of 36 in fact coming. I'm sorry if I mess up a little bit in my speech. It's been a rather long day for me at work. So there you have it. Anyway, let's see what other fights are happening on track.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, in all that battling there, it managed to bunch up the pack behind. And now Mark could have another go at Brainstew into towards turn 1. He doesn't seem like he's going to be close enough. Back behind a little bit, the Alpha Tauri of Cozzy and the Ferrari of Joshua Pianar going side by side through the first 3 corners here. And off the exit, they are going to be wheel to wheel. Ferrari goes off the track. Might picked up a track extension there, but they are going to run wheel to wheel. I think Cozzy's got the better run down the straight here and in towards the braking zone around the outside. The Alpha Tauri has to go. Can he keep his nose in? Can he keep his car in there? A little bit of wheel banging between the pair of them. And once again, Joshua Pianar goes right off the circuit and holds on to this position. But questionable moves there, going off the track twice to hold that position. I don't think Cozzy will be too happy about that one.
No, his front brake actually touched the rear wheel of the Ferrari there. So I hope he doesn't have any damage from that move there from Joshua. But for now, he's going to have to stick behind the Ferrari. It looks like he's got a pretty good exit out of the second sector though. But once again, overtaking here is really, really hard to do. And now the Williams of Pro2Go is getting himself into the fight as well. Now 3 cars incredibly close. It's almost like they're attached to each other with a bunch of chains there. That's how close they're behind one another. So for sure there's going to be another move here from Cozzy to get into P8 as Josh does no longer have DRS to defend himself a bit extra with, and the batteries of all these cars running incredibly low. Josh having a less battery than Cozzy in fact, and that means both him and Pro2Go move ahead of the Ferrari. And now let's see if Pro2Go can actually have a little go there at Cozzy, as he's got slightly, no actually they have about the same amount of battery, Pro2Go having a little bit more, but I think he's going to stick behind for the time being as he knows that Josh doesn't really have a chance to come back at them. Wow, braking quite late there, nearly ramming himself into the back of the other Alpha Tauri. It would be absolutely a nightmare for the team if both cars would be leaving this race pretty early, as Avi is already out of the race. Looking at P2 and P3 at the moment, Valu's batteries run dry, Milan's battery, and look at that, all the ERSs are incredibly low. Everybody's got almost no battery whatsoever.
Of course, you're taking so much of this lap really quick, and Pro2Go out of this session.
Oh no!
Right, stranded in the middle of the circuit there. Out of this race. We just saw them fighting. Now safety car has been deployed on lap number 7. And this would spark some activity down at the pit lane, surely. Luke Smith missed the entry. Oh, Vexus missed the entry.
Yep. Yeah, that's he's not going to be too happy about that. He'll be caught by the safety car immediately now, as Eruption gets himself a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. So he's going to be very angry about that. He is very far behind though. So yeah, that's definitely not a great day for him. So Pro2Go then, did he lose his car or was there contact? We do know that those cars were very close together So we'll have to see and wait for his point of view to find out what happened. Anyway, both Vexit and Jakach haven't pitted yet. Of course, Vexit couldn't because he was past the pit lane, but Jakach wasn't past the pit entry, and he decided to stay out. Interesting.
I think he was ahead of Brainstew, and they might have decided to pit Brainstew for the sake of the championship, because of course the double stack in such close conditions is really detrimental. You know, if you are double stacking, you're going to be way down the order. I'm trying to see if anyone has fallen victim to that, but I don't believe so. Of course, Vexit had no other option. He can't go past the safety car. If he is going to pit, he's got to pit this lap, and he's going to be right down the order. And if he can't climb his way back through, it could be championship over here.
Yeah, just to repeat for our Habs, he didn't throw it away. He was past the pit lane entry, so he was actually he couldn't pit. He was forced to go around once more, and that's really going to hurt his race here. Does he go into the pit lane, though? I think this is the best opportunity for him to do so, as the soft tires won't be in absolutely awesome condition after this safety car goes in. He stays out. Wow, okay, then, sure. Fine with me. Let's make it more interesting then. So then, both of the soft tire users in the top two decided to not pit at all.
I wonder if they're going to try and opt for a one-stop strategy. I mean, their strategy is already out the window. If they pit now, they're going to be down in last. Well, I'd say actually near last. I think they'll be around 15th, because Candy King, Burkan, Brownie, and Eruption, they all are not bunched up to the pack. They're actually in the third sector, which is coming down in towards turn number 4 here. So they'd be screwed either way. It's really not a great situation to be in, but they've just got to try and take the gamble, and that is to go for the one-stop.
Yeah, I think they're pretty much forced into going to the hard tire whenever the soft tire really starts to give up. Because interestingly, I wonder if those medium tires will last the 26 laps that will come after this one. I've seen it done before, but that means risking a puncture, because that will be at least 70% wear, which is, I believe, almost into puncture territory. So a one-stop from the soft to the mediums is extremely risky. I think all of these medium tire drivers are now hoping for another safety car. Two of them, though, are not taking any risks. Yari and Eruption going for the hard tires. So I wonder what the best strategy is.
It's a bit of a tricky one coming out today. A lot of variation in the strategy. It's going to be interesting to see. Of course, they'll likely be able to go to the end of this race. But of course, they'll be a lot slower once all the other medium runners at the moment, once they've pitted, either onto another set of mediums or back onto a set of their softs, they're going to be very vulnerable. Worn hard tyres, it's going to be super difficult. It looks like we've got at least one more lap before the safety car comes in. I believe we're just waiting for Brownie to catch up at the moment. But he's not too far off of the pack. Eruption, we were talking about him going for the safe option. Come back into the pit lane, fitting a set of the medium compounder tire.
Interesting.
And I wonder if that was just to get the compound out of the way, so it could possibly run another two mediums. But I'm not too sure what he's thinking here.
Yeah, that just reminded me of a thing happening in Tier 4, where the most drivers, there was a safety car around the same lap. Most of the drivers went for the medium tires. A few of them went for the hard. One of them actually said it was an accident. And that was one of the guys fighting for the championship. The thing is, though, he cleared about 8 or 9 seconds in the final 3 laps to the car ahead of him, who was in the medium tires. So the hard tire, in my opinion, isn't even that bad of an idea in this stage of the race. But everybody decided that it is a bad idea, and interestingly, Eruption going for a used set of medium tires he's put on there, because those tires are already 2 laps old. So yeah, I'm almost positive that's going to be a 2-stopper, because I don't know if those tires are going to make it. So yeah, he did 2 laps of qualifying on those ones, and he started on the other set of medium. Well spotted there, Arhabs. Yeah, the hard tire is horrible, yes, we do know that, but it does come to life in the later stages of the race. I've seen that in practice before, and it might just work out if everybody in the medium tires decides to stay on those tires. Anyway, the race is about to restart, and the biggest and most interesting question of them all is, will Jakach and Vexit be able to keep the angry pack of medium tire cars behind? So let's see then. Vexit waiting to restart the race then until the very, very last opportunity. He is now going for it though, but it looks like Jakach and Valu are quite awake. Valu, in fact, more awake than Jakach was. And look at Milan, who's even more awake there. And it's very close together there. Brage2 then is already having a look at the Alpine car to go into the first corner, but they're sticking behind for now. Thing is though, Valu is trying to go for a move there on Jakach to take second place. He is just missing out barely. And it's actually Jakach who's come out into second place there for the time being. And Brage2 now getting screwed by the other Alpine car of Mark, who's trying to move ahead of him. Brage2 though having the inside line, nearly getting sandwiched literally by both Alpine cars, which puts him badly on the back foot here as he's being pushed wide. And now under pressure from the teammate of Vexit, Moon there, trying to move into 6th place. And now he's fighting with the Haas car. He's already lost out to an Alpine car. So not a great restart then for the championship leader. Thing is though, he's still within the points, and I don't think he's going to take too much risk. He knows 1 point is enough to claim the title tonight, and therefore I'm quite sure he's just going to be as careful as he can be, as we see another one fight almost happening there in the back there between Cozy and Noel Carlman. Oh, and the Aston Martin nearly plowing himself into the back of the Mercedes of Noel there. Thing is though, it's looking quite safe, and the hard tire of Yari has made him move into 11th place, and now already pressurizing Noel there for P10. Moving side by side. Well, no, not just yet. The Mercedes being slightly faster on the straight. Therefore, Yari being forced to use a lot of ERS there. But he is now finally moving ahead into 10th place and into the points. What a restart.
Absolutely, and Valu's managed to find himself back up into P2 here. Now Jakach is going to be under pressure from the Alpine of Milan down in towards turn number 4. A little bit of contact between the pair of them at the end of the first sector. Going deep is Milan. Jakach could try and catch him on the switchback, and now trying to hold it around the outside, but the old soft tyres not working in their favour. Mark could try and slip up the inside. Little bit of contact. Whoa. Oh, dearie me, could have been sent into a spin, but the Alpine now trying to swoop around the outside of the Alfa Romeo. And it is now Brage2 in behind his teammate here. I don't think Jakach is going to make this one too difficult, but the old softs not working in their favour. Off the exit, Jakach letting his teammate on through, but Moon could try and find an opportunity as well in this fray as they go in towards the stadium sector here. Jakach just pulling out the way of everyone. PNR could look up the inside, but I think he's thought better of it as towards the end of this lap, starting it in P2, Jakach now down in P7, and if that doesn't scream that tyres are finished, then I do not know what does.
Yeah, I think he's just going to go as long as he possibly can and even switch to the medium tires later on. I think that's an even better strategy for them. Either way, they're screwed. It doesn't really matter what they're going to try because they'll fall down the order badly. As now Joshua is passing Jakach into 7th place. He's doing everything he can to defend, but it's of no use as now Cozy is having a look around him, already around him before the DRS. No, they've crashed! Oh, and the McLaren taken out as well. Magnetar getting victimized by... Oh, no, he's really angry. He's just banging the AlphaTauri there out of pure frustration. And what were you doing? Thing is though, I couldn't see whose fault it was. They were just so tangled up together there, but oh my goodness, what a crash that was.
And both of them now missing front wings. They're going to have a long way back to the pit lane. Actually, Jakach has managed to keep, I think, the entire wing intact here.
Yeah, it's a miracle.
But Cozy's got a long way back to the pit lane here. But at the front of the order, I think Luke Smith is also beginning to feel the tyres because Valu is only 4/10 back from the Haas car, and I think Luke Smith might try and think about coming into the pits. He's staying out. This is going to be one of the easiest moves, I think, that Valu is going to make, because down the straight here, I don't even know if he needs to use up any of his ERS. Using the slipstream and the DRS, this is the move for the lead of this Grand Prix. Further back behind, Brage2 getting past Mark in towards turn number 1. Luke Smith not putting up a fight, and up into P1 in this race is Valu.
Yep, there he goes. He's got a 3-second time penalty though, so he'll have to go even quicker if he wants to make sure he will finish in 1st place. Cozy, in the meanwhile, retiring from the session. He is out of this race then. Jakach is pitting though, so the damage, while not visible, could definitely be felt on the Alfa Romeo car there. He will no longer be able to help out his teammate. Maybe he can play a bit of a role there when he gets lapped. If that even happens later down this race, of course. Vexit's tires are really starting to fall off, almost literally off his car, as he's now pressurized by Milan, who is coming up behind him to try and claim second place. Brainstew, in the meanwhile, 1.5 seconds behind Milan in his turn, trying to close that gap as well. This man now knows he's pretty much safe to claim the title. Thing is, though, there's still 22 laps, if my calculations are correct, remaining in the race. And there he goes, Vexit into the pit lane to switch to a new set of tires. Now let's see, is it going to be hards or mediums? I'd say mediums.
Just have to see as he pulls it into the pit box of the Haas team. It's going to be a set of the medium compounder tire. Whether those can go to the end, just have to wait and see. His teammate, meanwhile, making moves ahead now of Mark, who is beginning to slowly slip down the order. Up into 4th is Moon, and here's an interesting little thought. Is that Moon could, as his teammate, as Vexit's teammate, he could ruin it all for Brainstew if he does catch up and decide to fight. But of course, that is a hypothetical. He's not yet close enough to even mount a challenge to the Alfa Romeo car. We'll just have to wait and see. But as we roll on lap number 15, Valu's leading, Milan in 2nd, and Brainstew champion-elect at this point as his teammate Jack Gatcher retiring in the pit lane. Sees no point in going on. And that is going to be our 4th retirement of the day.
The thing is, though, that's painful for the Constructors Championship. That's going to hurt Alfa Romeo there, who are only 9 points ahead of Haas, with Moon in P4, and Vexit will soon climb up back several places as well, I think, on his fresh medium tires. He's got 6 lap newer tires than the entire rest of the field, which might put him in a beneficial position later on in the race. Haas could just be clinching the Constructors title then. If it's not this week, it might just be next week, but it is going to be advantage Haas at the moment in terms of Constructor. And of course, the title fight is still heading into Brainstew's direction, who's trying to do everything to keep Moon behind, who's really pushing super hard to try and get past the Alfa Romeo just to mess about with him as much as he possibly can. You can see him there braking as late as he can just to try and catch Brainstew off guard, hopefully forcing him into a mistake. That's what he thinks, at least. I'm quite sure he is doing everything. Your hypothesis, Dan, might just be coming through within the next 2 or 3 laps.
I mean, what can I say? I'm a bit of a visionary, but if I'm not mistaken as well, Moon is a reserve.
Yes,
spinning him for I think Matteo Longe, so the points won't contribute to Haas. So it is looking bright and sunny for Alfa Romeo. Of course, all is not said and done. The title fight for the Constructors is well and truly still alive. So we could possibly see Alfa Romeo still being ahead at the end of this race, or Haas could just get an edge on them. I think that is going to be the main title fight coming into the final race. Should Brainstew win tonight, and imagine after last week where it all went wrong for him, I think he's going to be a lot more cautious in this race. But can Moon disrupt that? P&R gets past Marquise in behind. Moon, though, could have an opportunity in towards turn number 4. He's had a bad exit out of turn number 3. That's going to nullify any advantage he would have had with the DRS on Brainstew, and it's going to stay those two in behind each other. Milan as well, right up behind Valu.
Yep, he has closed the gap, and that's the fight for P1. Brainstew is not able to keep up with the pace of Valu and Milan, but I do think he's trying to save his tires for the later stages of the race, as he knows that those medium tires are going to be very ancient by the time we go around to lap 36 out of 36. 9 seconds of penalties. Let's have a look actually about the penalties. No, 6 seconds. Oh dear, look at Yari. 17 seconds of time penalties there. So not very good news for the only driver in the hard tire. He really should save those tires and save those penalties, but that's pretty much game over for him. With 17 seconds worth of penalties, he'll be pretty much almost into last place when this race finishes the way it is right now. Back to the fights on track though. Let's see where the closest fights are happening. It's the fight for P1 that is still happening. Milan doesn't have to push very hard though. I think he's not trying to fight as much as he can with Valu. Mostly to make sure that the gap to Brainstew remains as big as he possibly can keep it. Moon, with 9 seconds worth of penalties, his only mission right now is then to mess with him, because position-wise, he'll not be able to gain that much with this many time penalties.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll likely be dropping pretty far down the order with 9 seconds of penalties. Only at the halfway point. We're on lap 18. We're not even at the halfway point. That happens when we actually begin at lap number 19. We just saw a move for P7 though. Verdex ahead of Noel Coleman, who I believe is making his Tier 1 debut, coming up from Tier 2. Normally races, I believe, on the Wednesday. That was yesterday evening. Now up in Tier 1 tonight. He's putting in a shift down at the Mercedes team in 8th position. Ahead of his teammate by quite some margin. I think Noel Coleman, driver I'm quite familiar with when it comes to commentating over them. He's doing a pretty good job, although he has lost position to Verdex and is about 7/10 back, so I don't think he's close enough to go for a move. Although Milan could be close enough to go for a move, because in towards turn number 1, he backs out there.
Yep.
So I don't think Milan wants to go for a move early on here. He's going to hang back in P2.
Yeah, I think he's going for a move when he is absolutely sure he won't lose any time from it. Because if they're going to fight too hard, Brainsteel will close the gap, and that means he'll be able to challenge them for the lead of the race as well. As Moon is now only 3/10 behind the Alfa Romeo, in fact. So he's still just keeping Brainsteel under as much pressure as he can, but he cannot pass him just yet. He's doing everything he can. In fact, he's saving his ERS, as we can see. His battery is now at about 40%, which is a lot around this track, and Brainsteel only at 20%. So, yeah, I'm quite sure just Moon biding his time to go for a move sooner or later. The main straight, though, is the main place to try and have a go at the car just ahead of yourself. A bit further back, a very long train of cars from Mark all the way down to, if I said that correctly, Brownie. Almost all of those cars are within a DRS range. Verdex struggling to get in that range. And now let's see what will happen for this fight into P3. As Moon is going to have another try. He's still not using any ERS. He's just staying close to Brainsteel, whose battery is, well, running very, very dry there. Only 12% remaining, 30% in the meanwhile for the Haas car. Just forcing him into mistakes. That's really what he's hoping for there. Looks like he's got quite a nice exit there, though. 4/10 behind him. He's gonna try maybe here. No, it's going to be too far back. Ooh, that was close.
He does get close. He gets close to the back of the Alfa Romeo. Oh, man, that was a bit hot in mouth, I'd imagine, but he managed to keep out of the back of the rear wing of the Alfa Romeo car. Still hanging back though in P4. And imagine when they want to come into the pit lane for a fresh set of tyres, that's when he's going to make his move. And they blitz all the ERS. In terms of the battery, he's got quite a bit more than Brainsteel in terms of it being Mexico and how difficult it is to charge the battery. 43% for the Haas and then 27% for the Alfa Romeo. We'll have to see what it's like at the end of the straight and whether Moon actually opts to use any. Down and towards the first corner. The exit of the final turn here, I believe turn 17 around this track. And again, 7/10 of a second, he does not seem close enough. He gets right up to the rear of the Alfa Romeo car and then never pulls the trigger, never goes for a move. And I think that is just about the mind games, as well as not wanting to give the advantage of DRS to your rivals. You see Milan as well ahead is doing the same thing. So it's all tactics here at the moment in Tier 1. Not too many drivers going for risky overtakes at this point in the race. But I'd imagine when the tyres begin to wear out, drivers will start getting a bit more risky.
Yeah, definitely. Mostly because those tires, when they are losing grip, your car will become a bit more twitchy, potentially a bit more oversteery. And it's definitely mind games that Moon is playing onto Brainsteel. And Brainsteel, though, really hopes that Moon will not try and go for a move. Thing is, though, if Moon does go into attack mode, it will increase the gap from these two drivers up to the lead of the race. So that might be another thing to consider for Moon here, to ensure that Brainsteel doesn't get any closer to the top two. That's a second possibility you can try and flesh out in terms of strategy and mind games. But for now, he's opting for the safe one, which I think is, well, the best thing to do. His teammate, in the meanwhile, Vexit, is starting to close the gap to Brownie in P13. And if he manages to close that gap, he'll be right into a DRS train. But we do see one of the cars ahead of him, Burkhan, in fact, going to the pit lane. The first one to stop after the safety car. And he is switching, I think, to another set of medium tires. No, it's soft tires for 14 laps. Deary me, that's a daring strategy. I think he just is thinking like, I've got nothing to lose anyway. So I'm just gonna have a try, no matter what happens, as Jari gets another 3-second penalty there. He's now on, I believe, 23 seconds worth of penalties, which is almost a new record, I'm afraid.
He's actually hit 30.
30?
Sorry, 26 seconds.
Oh my.
Of penalties. And I'm quite worried. We're about 2/10 of the way through in this race. Not 2/10, 2/3 of the way through in this Grand Prix, and he's close to the point where a DSQ could happen. So
yeah,
Yari's
people in the chat. Yeah, people in the chat are saying that 30 seconds is the limit. So he is very close to that limit. In fact, one more will bring it to 29 seconds. Maybe that will be the point where the game thinks, yeah, this is just enough penalties, man. It's no point racing anymore. Just come in and bring your car home. So yeah, Jari is gonna have to be super careful. He's gone for an interesting strategy, and he's gone into the pit lane, in fact, and retired from the session. Okay, well, that's the end of Jari and the Aston Martin. He realizes that the amount of penalty he has is not worth racing with any longer. So that's it for him then. His teammate still fighting for first place with 6 seconds worth of penalties. A bit further back, Mark is trying to keep a very long train of cars behind him, and he's still succeeding to do so. He's been driving around in P5 for quite a while now, but he has 6 seconds of penalties as well. 3 cars behind him have no penalties whatsoever. So maybe those cars are just trying to take it easy as well, and also playing the strategic game here. Just like Moon and Milan are, because they all know taking risks around this track is quite dangerous.
This track is pretty damn dangerous. I'm not really sure what a lot of the drivers are thinking at the moment. 14 laps on the set of the medium compounder tyre. So I'd imagine at some point drivers will begin to think about the pit stops, and Mark was looking a bit twitchy out of that final corner. And I think now Josh is going to seize this opportunity to go for the move down the straight in towards the first corner. Mark is defending pretty heavily and covers off the inside, but it is not going to be enough as Josh slips on by pretty easily in towards the first corner. And Candy King gets past his teammate here. And Verdex still trying to find a nose in. Could try and get the position on Mark, because he's not going to get another helping of DRS down this straight. And Mark's actually just picked up a 3-second time penalty, so it's not looking good for the Alpine car. Manages to maintain 6th from Verdex, who didn't really attack. But that is a move made for PNR, and still got plenty of resources, still 50% on the battery. Didn't have to use much to get past the slow Alpine car in front. It is tough to say, but it is pretty true. That was a bad exit out of the final corner, and PNR manages to seize the opportunity. But now the advantage switches back the way of Mark, because he's going to have DRS down and towards turn of 1 and possibly in towards the stadium section. Thought he was going to have a move there, but no, hanging back for the time being. But it's looking like advantage Mark.
Yep, for the time being, definitely. The tires now, though, 15 laps old. I think the first signs of struggle will come anytime within between now and 2 or 3 more laps, maybe, because then the tires will be 18 laps old, which is... Oh, what's going on? Yep.
Milan's gone for the lead.
Yep.
Balu's trying to switch it around the outside, I think. Oh, he's got another penalty for riding over the curbs. Milan takes the position easily by going right off the circuit, and Valu with another 3-second time penalty. That's 9 seconds now, and I think the chances of a win at this point out the window.
Yeah, and I think now Moon will have to think about a move, as Mark has moved back ahead of Josh in the Ferrari there, back into P5 for the time being. Yellow flag in Sector 3 is Eruption, retires in the pit lane. That means 6 cars already out of the race, only 14 remaining on track. So many people giving up after having disastrous things happening to them. 3 seconds now for Josh as well. That's no good news for him. Fortunately for him, that's still a lot less than Mark ahead of him has. Brainstew has now almost closed the gap to the top 2. So Moon will have to switch around his strategy as Brainstew is now within DRS range, and we see Valu now coming into the pit lane for a fresh set of tires. So he's then the first of the front runners to go for the 2-stop strategy, going to a set of soft tires, in fact. Probably one of the tires he used during qualifying, either that or he has saved one of those, as Mark as well into the pit lane he comes, Josh into the pit lane, Moon as in the pit lane as well, hoping to go for the undercut on Brainstew. The question is though, what will the top 2 do? Are they daring enough to stay out on these tires, or will they go for a fresh set sooner rather than later, as all of the drivers behind them are now on much faster and fresher tires? So the undercut, if they don't go pit quickly, will be very, very powerful indeed.
Yeah, and one thing I've noticed at the moment is that the beautiful blue skies have appeared to have gone. We've got a lot of cloud coverage at the moment, still very light clouds. So I'd imagine there is a looming threat of rain. Possibly not yet, but it is certainly getting to that point. Air temperature is also going to drop, so it's not going to be as difficult to run the tyres. You're not going to be putting as much heat through them, so they're not going to spin up as quick. I'm not too sure how the tyres work. I am
Race
really...
leaders coming in.
Oh, Milan, yeah, into the pit lane. Brainstew sticking out though.
Yep, sorry to interrupt you there, by the way. It's just like Milan is not really wanting to risk any of the undercuts happening of the cars behind him. Vexit, therefore, now moves into second place. Look at that! His slightly fresher medium tires, which I think will last until the end of the race, and now have brought him into P2. Problem is though, all the cars behind him are now on fast and fresh soft tires, and the undercut has worked wonders. Now Moon is ahead of Milan. Look at that.
And Moon's been able to jump Milan with that short little undercut of just 1 lap, and I'm actually wondering at the moment if we are getting rain, because the clouds seemingly are getting heavier. This could have been the masterclass strategy. Well, I guess also kind of lucky as well from Vexit, because those tyres, they're not going off for a good few laps here. Still only 11 laps put in on this set of the mediums. I'd imagine Brainstew has got to pit or he's in puncture territory. Vexit is okay though. And if we see the intermediate tyres coming out, that is 1 less pit stop that Vexit has to make. But it is just a matter as to when and if the rain does fall, Brainstew staying out.
Yep, he decides to go longer and longer. I wonder if he's going to come in or if he thinks his tires are still fresh enough. 19 laps old though, that doesn't sound very fresh at all. But I've seen drivers going around this track with 26 lap old mediums. So yeah, I think he's just going to try and stay ahead of Luke's Vexit, for the time being, as Valu is now making his move on Candy King, who's also on older medium tires, just slightly younger than Brainstew's are. But Valu back into third place for the time being though, with 9 seconds worth of penalties. That's not great news for him, as now Moon has closed the gap to Candy King as well. No DRS yet there for the time being, for this lap at least. And Milan then, thanks to staying out 1 lap too many, is now on the back foot.
Absolutely, a net P3 at the moment. Moon does slip past Candy King, who's also going long like Brainstew is. And that you can see, if you go on board with either Brainstew or Candy King, you can see visibly the tyres are wearing. There's a big streak going on the right tyre of Candy King at the moment, so really putting the wear into that set. Brainstew still stays out and has crossed the 20 lap mark on this set of the mediums. Yep. I don't see them going to the end though. He's still got about, what, 7 laps? 8 laps almost left in this Grand Prix.
Definitely. Thing is, I just looked in the chat and there's people saying there's 5 minutes until the rain. So your predictions about the clouds were definitely correct.
Absolutely. Yeah, so if Brainstew can stick this one out, he'll be in a great position. But the puncture still looms, and Luke Smith and Vexit is still catching at a rate of knots. Now the gap only 10 seconds.
In the meanwhile, a bit further back, we see some fights going on between Josh and Mark still. These drivers are really onto each other this evening, as Noel Carlman has now moved back into 10th position. All of these drivers on fresh soft tires are starting to scratch their heads. Was this the right strategy call with rain coming in faster than expected? Because on my watch, it's definitely not been 60 minutes just yet. With the prediction, people said it was going to be 60 minutes until the rain and 45 minutes until it gets cloudy. It's definitely a lot earlier for both of them. So the weather predictions, not as accurate as people would have hoped. The Branch 2, yep, definitely going round again. He is waiting out the rain then. Vexit is starting to catch him. 9.5 seconds remain at the end of this lap, but there's only 7 laps to go. So will he be able to catch him at this rate? And when will the rain start to fall? Those two questions are the biggest one in the final stages of the race. Valu, meanwhile, has completely run dry his battery, trying to overtake Vexit, but he is still going for that move thanks to DRS, trying to go around the outside of the Haas car. He's got the inside light at the second corner here. The tires of... Oh, he spins!
No!
He spins! That's terrible news there then for the Haas driver. Vexit spinning round, trying to defend his position, taking a bit too much risk there, touching the Aston Martin, and now his championship hopes are, well, it's almost over for those hopes then, as another spins happened further back, as Dimitriou has spun his Red Bull round as well. It looks like it's getting slippery. Let's have a camera on the car. No, it isn't raining just yet. I don't see any rain droplets on any of the cars at the moment. But for some reason, 2 cars spinning in almost exactly the same position almost would suggest that rain is very, very imminent, or at least the track is cooling down quite a lot now.
Absolutely, Brainstew still staying out here, taking the risk, but it is looking like a race. A championship win from Brainstew. All is not said and done. Everything still can change, but the odds are in his favour at the moment. Still, Valu is catching very quickly now, 8.2 seconds back from the Alfa Romeo car, just holding on for that rain. Kianov slips past Vexit, and it is looking dire for the Haas car. Now Burkan right behind him as well. Those mediums, they were working when he was in clear air and didn't have anyone pressuring him, and now it's looking all bleak for Vexit today.
Ooh, I saw there Burkan braking very late, nearly hitting Vexit on his way into turn 5 there. Very happy to see Burkan up a few positions. Oh, dearie me, he spins Mark round. Oh, what's happened there? I don't think he saw the Alpine car on his inside there, as he just completely turned into him and spun round Mark. Now he's fallen down outside of the top 10, getting his tires a bit too hot there because of the spin. Now he's going to have to be really careful in the second sector, but that's really not, I think, what Burkan wanted there, unless he was really desperate for points. But that is no good news then for Mark, who was in, he was almost in the fight for a podium at some point earlier in the race. He's now very far behind the points. Thing is though, rain is imminent, and we might just see it happen very, very soon. No rain droplets on any car still, as ahead of Burkan, fights are going on between Candy King and Vexit. And Josh, as Luke Smith, aka Vexit, is trying to fight himself back into 5th position, as Josh is going very, very wide now, immediately under pressure from Candy King and his teammate Burkan. But there we have it then, Vexit back into 5th place after being spun round, trying to scramble as much points together as he can, but he knows with every passing lap things are starting to look much worse and worse. All he can do now is hope that Brainstew will get a puncture, as his tires are starting to get into that territory right now. And he really has to hope, this Italian man over here, as we are following him right now into the stadium section, that the rain will come, well, pretty much preferably in next lap. Look at his tires. They're almost like a bunch of fossils there. That's how old they are on that car.
It's looking real bad for Brainstew's tires, but they are hanging on. Valu has caught about 4 seconds in 2 laps now. So he's now 4.2 seconds back from Brainstew, who is hanging on for dear life. And there it is, rain. I see rain on the halo.
Oh, Burkan's gone off. Burkan's gone off. He's crashed into the wall to the final corner.
He's crashed in the same way Bottas has, like at the exact same place as well. Rain now is out on circuit. Burkhan's out of this race. I think it's too late for a safety car.
Yep, definitely. That safety car is not coming out anymore. So that's Burkhan out of the race after I just praised him for driving into the points. Yeah, that's a commentator's curse, definitely. So that's very unfortunate there for the Ferrari driver. He's not going to be too happy with that one. Now Brainshoe's got himself a 3-second penalty. That's not going to be good news for him anyways. His tires are really starting to give up, especially with this rain. The grip is going to be at an all-time low. So what will he do? Pit lane is looming ahead of him. Will he come in and switch early to the intermediates? It looks like, though, the track is still pretty dry. But I think within 1 or 2 laps that track will be quite wet. So the intermediates, will they do any drivers any good with just 3 laps remaining? Now this is super exciting with this few laps remaining and the rain falling down now. We're just gonna have to look at the track very closely. As soon as it gets any wet patches, it means that the dry tires are done for. And that means Brainshoe's tires will be pretty much like driving on ice, as they say.
Yeah, they are in bad condition at the moment. And the rain is not helping them at all, but it is not wet enough for the intermediates. He'd be quicker on this slick set of the soft, the medium, sorry. Although they are very, very worn. And he's only got two and a half laps left in this race. I think Valu, who is catching, it's going to be the easiest move of Valu's life, who still could actually keep a podium in this race, despite having, what, I think 9 seconds of penalties?
Yep.
At this point, 9 seconds. He'll still be keeping a podium by the end of this. I think P3 is the best he can do. I think it's going to be Brainstew, Milan, and then Valu. It's going to be our finishing order. Of course, Valu wants to do it on circuit, out on track, off the exit at the final corner.
Look at that.
Doesn't even need DRS. What a drive as they're going to run side by side, but it's not even going to be a competition at this point. As Valu now moves into the lead of this Grand Prix. Brainstew has got no attack. He's got no DRS. He is still keeping up with the Aston Martin. Could go for a send to the first corner, but a championship's on a line. He's not going to go for the risk. He's going to hang back, and I think he'll happily take P2.
Yeah, definitely. And Valu will have to pull away 6 seconds in order to win this race. That means he'll have to pull away 3 seconds per lap. And in these conditions, and with these soft tires not being the newest any longer, I'm not sure if that's entirely possible, as Vexit get pushed wide by Joshua, and that allows another car there, Noel, actually moving into 5th place with his Mercedes there, taking the maximum advantage he can from all the fights happening in front and now behind him between the Ferrari and the Haas. And now Joshua pushes him so far off that he goes off the track himself, which allows now Brownie to get past. These 3 cars are absolutely going haywire there, and now my game has crashed. Oh dear.
Crashed as well.
Oh, what?
Oh no.
Oh god. Oh dear. Uh-oh. Oh no,
bad.
you cannot be serious.
Both of our games.
Oh
Just
god,
gone.
you've got to be joking. I'm going to try and get back into the lobby as quickly as I possibly can. Oh no, this is unbelievable. I think we just cursed ourselves.
Oh, I didn't even say anything this time. And, no way this has happened.
Unbelievable.
I am launching. And, of course, actually, my game is doing what it does best and not launch. So, I don't think I'm getting back in the lobby here.
Oh, yeah, my game has just launched, and I am trying to get into the lobby as fast as I possibly can. Thing is, though, this game is quite slow on the second startup, and now the stream is lagging because of the game trying to load itself. So yeah, you'll experience a bit of technical issues. Very sorry about that, dear viewers. It doesn't look like it's a lobby problem. I think it's just purely coincidentally that both of us have crashed at the same time. I am now on the loading screen in the lobby right now. Brainshoe's got 4 punctures, of course he has. Disaster. So, I'm switching back to the race as soon as I can. It is still loading for me. This has to be the most exciting commentary about a loading screen we've ever seen. There we are, loading complete, it says. And there we are. Has the race finished? It hasn't. We are on the final lap. It's absolute mayhem here. Burkhan retired from the session. But, we have already got a race winner. Milan winning the race, Brainstew in second place, Valu in third, Moon in P4, Noel Carlman driving home to P5, Brownie in sixth, Verdex in P7, Joshua in P8, Magnetar in 9th, and Vexit in P10 then. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, Brainstew is the champion of Tier 1. A big round of applause to this man who's made the maximum of the strategy. He's tried to stay out on the medium tires, and it worked, but I think it just barely worked. The thing I'm most curious about, I'm gonna ask him first there, or we are going to ask him first, is how his tires are feeling. I'm quite sure, isn't it, Dan? Because I think they were, well, maybe even 80% worn by now.
They might have been in the 90s range. I think he might have had a puncture at the end, and that's why he lost the lead to Milan. We'll have to, of course, we'll have to ask him once he comes in for the interviews. But that is the end of the championship hunt in terms of the drivers. With one round to go, Brainstew is your champion of Tier 1. He's going to celebrate on the podium, but it is Shazoo Milan to take the top spot for Alpine today. Brainstew second, and Valu just about takes the podium after a lot of penalties coming his way. But what a race that was around Mexico.
Yep, a lot of things happening, including both of your commentators crashing in the final 1.5 lap of the race. So here you are then, the final results of the race, including all of the penalties there. Plenty of drivers who've retired. Only 13 drivers crossed the finish line here, with Dimitrio being the last of the lot to do so. But let's go into the interviews and see if there's anybody waiting just yet. No, I think they're celebrating still on the podium out there. So we're going to have to wait for either of the three on the podium to join us for the interviews. Dan will be doing the interviews with them tonight. So let's just wait. I hope we can speak to our new Tier 1 champion first and foremost, and see how his tires were and how close the track was to the intermediate conditions, because I think it was getting really, really, really close.
Yeah, I think a few more laps and we'd have seen drivers on the intermediate tires. But of course that didn't end up happening. It was similar to last week as well, actually. I think in Austria there were threats of rain right at the end of the race, and it just never came. It just never presented itself. But we do have the first driver in the interview room. We've got Milan at the moment, so I think I'll drag him in. And oh, there we go. He's been pulled in. Milan, can you hear us?
Yes, hello.
Okay, brilliant. So, first off, congratulations on taking the win of the Mexican Grand Prix. Let me get your thoughts on how that race went for you.
Yes, thank you. The race started very well. I gained 3 positions, and I stayed behind Valu all the race. I saved ERS, and I was very lucky because I had no pens. I stayed with 2 warnings from the beginning of the race, and yeah, in the end, I'm very happy for this P1. It's my first P1 with no assists from this game in a big league.
Yeah, well, really big congratulations, and unfortunately for myself and Frostbreath, both of our games crashed right at the end, so we didn't actually see you taking the position from Brainstew. How did you make that move?
I didn't, he had 3 seconds time penalty, and I had 0, no. And he won on track, but I won after the penalties.
Okay, I see, and coming into next week, we are headed to the final race in Brazil. How do you feel about that circuit?
Yeah, Brazil is one of my favorite tracks on this game, so I'm very confident about next week, and we'll see. Maybe I can gain another win.
Absolutely, and I'm hoping the best for you. I'll let you get away with your win. Really big congratulations again, and we hope to see you back here in the interview room next week.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good night.
Cheers.
Thank you, you too.
So that's quite interesting to hear about the fact that he was able to catch Brainstew as well and overtake him thanks to Brainstew's 3-second time penalty, which he got just before both of us crashed out of the lobby. And now we're waiting. There we are. Brainstew, I'm immediately going to drag him in. And there he is, the man of the moment. Brainstew, congratulations, you have just won Tier 1 championship in the Misfits Racing League. So the big question from both of us, how do you feel?
Well, of course I feel great. Don't know what to say. Just very happy.
So let's see, Dan, what's the first thing we'd like to ask him?
I think what everyone wants to know, not just us, but also those in the live chat, those tires right at the end.
They were dead.
What was your percentage?
They were gone. I mean, more than 80. I don't remember the precise number, but more than 80.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Finishing with a bit of a risk.
I mean, yeah, I think from about lap 30, I honestly was predicting a puncture for you at some point. But you managed to hold out on circuit for the win. Of course, the penalty put you down into P2. But of course, with the championship now, the attention turns over to Brazil. Now, of course, next week, the final race, you'll have no threat from any other driver coming into that one in terms of your championship position. So does that mean your focus is going to be on the constructors, or are you going to take it more laid back, or and have some fun?
No, yeah, I think I'm gonna help my teammate also in quali with a bit of a slipstream, and because we can still win the constructors. So I think today also was very unlucky for Jack because I knew he had the pace. He had the pace to be there at the top. So yeah, I like for his incident, and but yeah, we will surely try to get as many points in Brazil.
Absolutely, and of course, before I let you get away here, is there anything you'd like to say to your championship rival in Vexit, or perhaps the viewers? Just anything you'd like to get off your mind.
Yeah, Vexit. I mean, from the moment he joined the Tier 1, he showed mad pace, and of course there were a few races where he didn't get the points he hoped. So that was a bit unlucky for him, but yeah, just want to congratulate him also for his growth in the last period.
Absolutely. Once again, a really big congratulations from both myself and Frost Breath. I'll let you get away and have a drink on us. Celebrate your championship win, because you are the man of the moment. Everyone, thank you for racing here today.
Thank you.
Cheers, man.
Bye.
So then that was for the interviews, as the man in P3 has not joined the interview waiting room. It sounded like Rinshu was really overwhelmed with his championship victory there. Amazing job done by him. Only one race remains in Tier 1. Brazil, one of the favorite tracks, I think, for many drivers in any tier here in the Misfits Racing League, and drivers in general. And then that will conclude the season. After that, heading into the holiday season there, and then we'll be turning next year. But first, of course, Brazil next week. Tune in Monday for Tier 4, Tuesday Tier 3, Wednesday Tier 2, and of course Thursday Tier 1. And not to forget the America tiers, which will be happening in between Tier 4 and 3, and the Tier 1 of America in between Tier 3 and 2 of Europe. Either way, hope you enjoyed this stream. Hope you enjoyed the race. Plenty of things happened there. The constructor battle is still going on, with the advantage still to Alfa Romeo in the end. Wishing you a great good night, evening, morning, or afternoon from both me and Dan, and we shall see you next week in Brazil. Thank you for watching, and good day.